So, we are going to explore Ernest Hemingway's A Day's Wait for, let's see, Symbolism, Foreshadowing, and Motif. So, these often go together. When we're looking for symbols here, remember Ernest Hemingway uses this iceberg method. Okay, so everything in this story seems super normal, even the book that the dad's reading. But remember, we could make something out of this book. We can make this book a symbol because it comes up twice. The dad tries to read this to the son twice. Pirates. What were pirates? Masculine, brave, daring. Technically, they were doing a bunch of super illegal stuff, like murderous. But we could say here that Howard Pyle's Book of Pirates symbolizes the masculine expectation the protagonist unconsciously places on his son. This concept of, we could say, stoic manliness creates the conflict when what was the kid's name again? Scats. So when Scats um doesn't want to tell his father he is worried he is dying. Alright, that's one thing. It doesn't seem like a big thing, honestly, but you could make something of it. That's what interpreting literature is. The temperature, his temperature, we can say, um, sketches temperature symbolizes his growing anxiety that he is keeping from his father. And the fact that it's wintertime. Okay, so we can say Hemingway chooses to set the story in the winter, which is a season that symbolizes death in literature. And obviously, this is a story about a little kid who thinks he's going to die. And his father, who goes out in this death defying icy day to go hunting quail for fun. Foreshadowing. Those would be these little hints that something more is going on when it's saying looking very strangely. Um, his face was, when he says he seemed very detached from what was going on. What we could write here, Hemingway. Hemingway foreshadows Sketz's conflict on the first page by describing the boy as looking detached. And I will quote that there. There we go. Detached, which just means like not paying attention. Another bit of foreshadowing. This is a little bit of a stretch, but you could say that the foreshadowing of this dad in his death defying hunting trip slipping foreshadows that like the kid is going to be okay, but we pretty much already know the kid is going to be okay because he is hunting in the first place. But um this one, he was evidently holding tight onto something about himself. And that's pretty much like right at the end of the falling action. we could say that's foreshadowing. When when the narrator father, um, when the narrator says the boy looks as though he is holding on to something, it insinuates that Scats has a secret. Okay, now motif. Pretty much the symbols and the motif are the same. So for this one, um, the book, I will just I'll tweak it a little bit, but the um it symbolizes that there could be more to this, or the motif. Okay, so the pirate book coming up twice um is a motif to show the masculine expectation the protagonist unconsciously places on his son. This concept of stoic manliness creates a conflict. When Scots doesn't want to tell his father, he's worried. Another motif could be the hunting. Another no motif of the temperature. It creates for the reader. We know that temperature is not that big of a deal, right? And we may not be understanding what is wrong with this kid, but the dad does, sort of. So we could say the Scatz's temperature readings. Scatz's temperature readings throughout the story is a motif, um, because it develops Scatz's internal conflicts. So we're developing conflict with those. So those would be and this is obviously a very short story. So if you had trouble coming up with these, that's okay. So did I. All right. And then the next one, we will be focusing on irony. Ooh, okay.